Right, in the last video, we went through and beat all of the beginner bots. Now, I think most people do pretty well against the beginner bots, but once you get into the intermediate bots, that's when it becomes a little bit more challenging. Well, there's actually an intermediate bot named Nelson that I've heard a lot of people seem to have trouble with. I think it has something to do with the fact that Nelson attacks a lot, and so you have to play some defense. But whatever the case may be, we are going to play Nelson, so you can see Nelson versus Nelson, and I think it's completely a coincidence that the bot's name is Nelson. At least I hope so, because I'm not black and I'm rated a little bit higher than 1300. So if they were going to make a bot about me, I don't think that's what it would have been. So anyway, let's go ahead and beat Nelson. All right, so we got e4. I'm going to play e5 just because I want to let Nelson, I wanted to let him do this. So I just want to talk about, this is pretty common. A lot of players do this because they can go for the 4-move checkmate, especially at the lower levels. But there's even a more advanced trick that you have to be careful and watch out for the fork here on your king and your rook. So the easiest way to deal with this is just defend the pawn with your knight. And then I'm expecting, bishop c4. So the threat is checkmate. And now we're going to play g6. And this is why we needed the knight here to defend the pawn. Otherwise, the queen can capture here and you get this nasty fork. But because we have it defended, we're good. And then this is usually what happens. The queen comes back, and again, you have to deal with the checkmate. But now we play knight f6, and then probably queen b3. Okay, sometimes they play queen to b3 and attack it again. But then you can just play queen e7, defending it that way. Bishop can go over here, and you end up with a lead in development. Now, in this case, Nelson didn't do that, but that's good to know. So now, most likely follow-up move could be bishop g5, pinning this knight. And so I'm considering just playing bishop g7 to go ahead and defend it ahead of time. Also looking at knight to d4. Looks like it could be a little annoying for the queen. But maybe queen d1 probably just defends okay. So I'll just go forward with developing. We can get ready to castle. And he does do that. So one thing that I'm paying attention to is this is pinned and it only has 2 defenders. So for example, if this knight were to come here, I would have a bit of a problem. So with that in mind, I'm going to pay attention. If he plays knight c3 next move, I know I'm going to have to deal with that threat. But for right now, I'm going to go ahead and castle. And he's just going to take it. So I could go for the queen trade or just keep the pieces on the board. I'm fine trading queens. So especially against aggressive players, I find a lot of times endgames they tend to struggle with, just in my experience. And so I think going into an endgame is totally fine here. And now we're just going to play normal and complete our development. So we'll play d6. And I'm debating playing bishop e6. It does potentially give me doubled pawns, but I like the fact that we get a half open f file, and we can even play like d5 and get a pretty nice center. So I will play bishop e6, even if it does weaken my pawns a little bit, and he's not going to take it. So right now I'm just kind of scanning to see like, okay, how can I activate these pieces, right? So knight's in a pretty good spot, bishop's in an okay spot. This bishop is fine. Really my rooks need to get involved. So now we have to start thinking about opening up files and where do I want my rooks to be placed if that were to happen. This one, if he takes, like I mentioned, this is going to be a half open file, so I kind of like leaving that there. I'm thinking of going here because it looks like maybe d5 could then be an option for me and could potentially get the rook involved there. So we'll go with that. Okay, he does take, and so now we at least have this, and we're ready to play d5. So I don't see any reason to not do that. I'm going to use these pawns to my advantage, and that is perfect because now we can undouble our pawns. I think it would have been a little bit trickier if he didn't take that, but since he does, this is very nice for us. Okay, so king is still in the center, so even though the queens aren't on the board, you can still actually get a nice attack. Using just pieces and rooks especially are powerful. So I really want to consider playing this move. Now if I go there right now, it gets captured. I do have the pin. Then he could defend. also opens up this, so that's an idea. So I'm just kind of looking for tactics right now. So again, here, probably captures, captures, captures. Then I could pin the knight, which would probably force this knight to go back, and then I could take that. It seems like it's pretty good for me, so I'll go ahead and do that. Take here. And then, like I said, I'm going to go ahead and pin the knight. And this, yeah, this I can just take back with the knight. Okay, so a better move would have been there to obviously defend the knight, and then I would have taken the pawn, threatened this pawn, and then maybe even went here to try to take the, take the knight and win a piece here, but that's just a free piece. Okay, now that I'm up a piece, just trading means I'll win the endgame. Also want to activate my king, and this knight really needs to come off the back rank. So those are the things that I'm thinking about. Let's go ahead and bring the knight forward. Okay, remember, trading is good. There's almost a tactic here, sacrificing the bishop to take the rook, but it doesn't work because the knight's defending. So I will just trade. And remember, if you're in a position like this, you want to trade pieces, but not pawns. You want to leave the pawns on the board because you're going to need a pawn to eventually get a queen. If I trade off all of my pawns for all of Nelson's pawns, then I'm probably not going to have enough to win the game. So just keep that in mind. Let's activate the king. It's an endgame, so that's important. Okay, he's giving away pawns. I'm just going to take them. And again, here we can force a trade, which makes everything nice and easy for us. Okay, he didn't want to take it, but we'll just take this. Okay, and here's another pawn. And now it's pretty straightforward. We just get a queen and win the game. So let's go do that. Just going to clear a path. So now we have a pass pawn. We can start pushing that forward. And right now, the king can't get there, so we'll just keep pushing it. Okay, and he's giving away these. I'll just take them. And here we go. Take this as well. Take that. We'll take all of Nelson's pieces. So before I get a queen, I just want to make sure that there's a place the king can move to, because I do not want a stalemate, but I see several places that are legal moves, so I'm not worried, so I will get a queen. And just cut the king off, and I could get another queen. I don't need to because I have plenty of pieces, but just because Nelson is kind of a bully from what I hear, we're going to just do this. Now, what's the thing that I have to do before I get a queen? Very important. I have to make sure that there's a space the king can go to. Is there a space if I get a queen here? Well, yes, right here. So I'm good. I'm not going to get stalemate, so I'll get a queen. And we could get a bunch more queens, but I think we'll just go for checkmate now. Is this checkmate? Is this checkmate? There we go. So there you go. That's how to beat Nelson. Basically just, pay attention to the threats, defend carefully in the beginning, and, he made some obvious blunders in the endgame, just gave away some pieces. And so if you make it to the endgame with Nelson, it looks like if you just play solid chess and be on the lookout for those blunders, you shouldn't have too much trouble. Let me know if you have trouble with a particular bot and you'd like to see a video on it. I'll be happy to play some more. Yeah, thanks for watching. Stay sharp, play smart, take care.